What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of GALP, and we're back with another impromptu discussion. This time, we're going to be talking about the Switch and the future of mobile games. And as usual, I am joined by Bish.
Hello, guys. Long time no see.
Yeah, but they don't know that. Shh.
They don't know that.
And Joe.
Hi, it's been a long time.
God damn it, guys. Anyhow, we miss you guys, so we're back at it with another episode.
I didn't.
But before that, wow. Well, I mean, I miss
was
you guys.
crying over you guys.
Oh, Joe, nice comeback. I like that.
Wow.
I actually want to imagine Joe just crying. Like, there hasn't been a GAP episode in a long while. He's just crying. It just doesn't stop until we record a new episode.
It's been months.
Yeah, it's been a while, but
He's just stranded on an island. Just I can imagine that.
But before we get into the meat of the discussion, before we go on more tangents, I think Bish has something to say.
For you new folks, Get a Life Podcast is a monthly gaming discussion podcast from the Get a Life group. We talk about all sorts of games, from AAA titles all the way to awesome indie games, but our forte is Japanese games, so expect that a lot. We can be found on iTunes, Google Play Music, and now we're on Spotify. So remember to join in on the fun, follow us on Twitter, and use the tag at Get a Life Podcast to obviously communicate with us. And remember, also, if you want to support the podcast, be sure to check out our sponsors, Japancrate. So if you go to www.getalifepodcast.com/Japancrate and use the code GALP, you get $3 off. And Crunchyroll, so you can get yourself a 14-day premium free trial if you go to www.crunchyroll.com/kunai. For everything anime, keep it Crunchyroll.
All right, so, as usual, on our impromptu episodes, we like to start off by talking about what games we've been playing recently, right? And since today's topic is mobile games, and, Bish finally got a Switch this past holiday season. Yeah, and you got, 17 billion games. I don't know who you had to, bribe to get all those fucking
You're
games.
Whose dick did Bish suck to get
honestly,
all these games?
I think you just went up to, Nintendo Europe HQ and was like, I'll
How
do
much
anything.
of his dignity did he have to lose to get Reggie to suck his dick for his games?
Well, that's
Get
what I had to
Reggie to suck his dick. What? Whoa.
Oh, I would love for Reggie to do that, but alas, I have a restraining order. I'm not allowed to go anywhere near Reggie, which is unfortunate. But I'll tell you what happened. Basically, I did that recording with Chloe, and then Nathan was like, "Oh, you need to get a Switch." I was like, "No, I don't think I will get one. I will see."
We've been telling you that for ever, dude. We've been telling you for that for since it came out, right?
Dude, I waited for a long time, and then Nathan found out that I had a Switch, and then he was like, here you go, here's some games. And I'm going to just say the games that I currently own. Let me just open the Switch now. Bear in mind, I do own the limited edition Switch console, the Super Smash.
Nice flex there, bud.
No, I'll tell you something. This console broke straight away, just so you know. Let me just open my game list. Let me just read them out. So I have Mario Party, I have Breath of the Wild, Dynasty Warriors 8, Shantae Half Genie Hero, or Shantae, Warriors Archie 4, Knights of Azure 2, Mario Odyssey, Let's Go Pikachu, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, Surgeon Simulator, Atelier Lydie and Suel, I can't pronounce that, Atelier Totori, Super Smash Bros, Atelier Meru, Atelier Rorona, and Super Mario 8 Deluxe.
Are you talking about Atelier?
Yeah, Atelier.
Atelier series?
Yeah, sorry. I butchered the French
okay.
language.
I was like, what the fuck is Atelier? I was like,
okay, you know what? Fuck you guys. Okay, I can't pronounce your stupid French language. All right.
What kind of fucking
I don't
game?
even speak French.
Look, I'll tell you something, because we were translating the press releases for Chloe, and then I'm pronouncing it wrong, and then my mum's like, "What? What the hell, Bish? It's not pronounced like that." And I'm like, "I'll pronounce it the way I want to pronounce it. Thank you, Mum." # Mum knows best. But yeah, I've got a lot of games on the Switch. Mainly, I just want to jump in and say what I've been playing. I've been playing a lot of Breath of the Wild recently. I only got it 2 weeks ago, but it's such a good game. Such a good game.
It's really good, isn't it?
It's so good.
If you're like me, you're just never gonna finish it because there's just like so much shit to do. Like, do you get the DLC for it, or are you still on the vanilla game right now?
I'm still on the vanilla game. I've only done one of the Divine Beasts.
Don't buy the DLC until you completed the game, or else you will never fucking finish.
Yeah, of course. I've only done one of the Divine Beasts, and what's stopping me from doing them is the fact that there's so many shrines. I want to get as much health canisters as possible, really. And
you need stamina. Not the health canisters. You need the stamina, dude.
I need health. I need health. Stamina is not really important to me because I found out in this game there's ways around getting up, to where you need to go. I've noticed that. You can use armor, like all these kind of things, really. Stamina doesn't mean that much if you're taking a lot of hits, personally to me. But if you're going to be doing a lot of climbing, if you're going to be doing a lot of gliding, yeah, okay, cool. Stamina
I think like half my game time in Breath of the Wild is just climbing.
Yeah, isn't that just climbing?
No, man. You know what I do now?
It's a climbing simulator.
What I've been doing is that I've been gliding to each shrine, and then if I need to go somewhere quickly, I'll just teleport to the shrine.
That's what everyone does.
You do not have the DLC yet. It's a good thing you did not have the DLC yet, because the DLC adds a bunch of shrines.
It also adds like a shit ton of like quests and items to collect, and it's like...
As soon as I started the game, I heard English, and I was like,
Oh my god.
It's alright. No, I changed it. I changed it to Japanese, by the way. I changed it to Japanese. I'm just saying...
The Japanese voices are really good.
They're amazing. English...
Poseidon's voice is amazing.
English was the default. So, when I changed to Japanese, and then you hear the Blood Moon, and then it's like, Zelda, Kiyosukete, Link. And I was like, oh, Zelda, I really want to save you. Like...
Okay, no, that's just creepy.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean, like, the voices...
That's kind of creepy.
The voices are really good. The voice is really good. Even the voice for Impa as well. Like, I was surprised that Impa's even in this game, and she's like a fucking old lady, and I'm like, what? And she sounds like, those old ladies that you see in those Studio Ghibli films, like, like, konnichiwa, like them old...
Yeah. She had that look to her.
Well, obviously she had... Yeah, of course she had that look. She kind of looked like...
She reminded me of, what's her name? It was from Howl's Moving Castle, the main protagonist.
No, I was thinking about the one from Spirited Away. The old lady.
Oh, I can see the Spirited Away one as well. It's just... Yeah.
So I kind of got that vibe, and obviously because that kind of town is very Japanese themed, it's pretty cool. But you got beautiful characters in sense of they have a story in their side quests. You feel like you've done something. That's what I like about this game. I was doing the Tarry Town side quest, and it's so cool. Like, you see this guy getting married, and it's just, it all kind of adds up together. You meet this woman from the Gerudo clan, and then she's like, oh, I'm trying to find a husband, and then it links in with...
that was a really cute side quest.
I mean, like, it's weird, though, because you meet these people before even activating the quests, and you want to know more about their story, and then it just adds up. And it's just like, wow, that was so satisfying.
Because it's like you just get all these people from these different areas together in one place, and then like it's very soothing.
I find it such a double-edged sword though, because I mean, yeah, I find the world in Breath of the Wild is like what makes it amazing, right? There's just so much shit to explore. I don't know if like one thing I remember liking a lot was Eventide Island. Like, discovering that shit for the first time.
What's that? Was that the one?
I'm not gonna spoil it.
That's the one where they take your stuff, isn't it?
Your weapon. Yeah. So it's like just being able to, like, I was standing on a mountain, right? And I was like, oh shit, there's a fucking island in the distance. So like, I wonder if I can get there. And I just fucking glid all the way there and, completed the shrine quest, right?
Yeah, this game is essentially the epitome of, you see that place over there? You can climb it.
Exactly, yeah. But at the same time, I find it's kind of a drawback too, because like, yes, the world's rich and it's filled with shit to explore and stuff, right? Under every rock and stuff, right? There's always a story, like, literally Koroks under rocks and shit.
Yes.
But it's just, at the same time, I find that because of that, the dungeons they're not bad, but they're weak for a Zelda game, And also the story it's not that the story itself is bad, it's just it isn't told in a way that's compelling, because you aren't guided along a path to unlock certain story missions or whatever in a certain order, right? You can go straight and fight straight to Ganon from the get-go if you want to once you leave the plateau, right? But it's just that discovering the story through flashbacks and just through like small like dialogues with other characters makes it a bit less compelling to me. I'm thinking like Twilight Princess and like Ocarina of Time and stuff, and like those games had really strong narratives, right? They didn't have anywhere near the same amount of freedom as Breath of the Wild.
See, the funny thing is, Kevin, is because obviously I haven't played those other... This is actually technically my first Zelda game. So for me, I don't really see that as much of an issue, only because I don't have those games to kind of compare with. I do kind of agree with you that it's more immersive in a sense, but at the same time, it's like less... it does feel a bit lazy, because it's like, okay, if I don't do those things, then I won't know the story. If I do go and fight Ganon from the get-go, then I'm not gonna see those memories that Princess Zelda had with Link, etc.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or I wouldn't know that Paya has a birthmark on her ass, which is a bit...
Like, you see her blushing and everything, and she's like, what? Why would you tell her that?
I didn't get to that part yet, but alright.
Sorry. It's a bit obvious, though. She implies it. I don't think she says it, but she implies it, because she was like, oh, she has a
It's
birthmark.
something you have to go out of your way to find.
Well, I don't know how you're gonna do that, but I mean... no, but I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, there's these little hidden things. I do agree with you with the Korok seeds, is that the amount of time that they spent with the Korok seeds, and apparently you need them to kind of expand your inventory. I didn't know that, but with the Korok seeds, the amount of time that they spent with that, they could have improved the dungeons, they could have improved the shrine puzzles. Because it's just...
Well, that really depends on what we know about the development cycle, because it doesn't... Just because they spend all this time on the Koroks, it doesn't necessarily mean that it was taken... Like, it took away time from something else.
It could be different departments managing things, but, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm fine with the Koroks or whatever, right? That's not a problem.
I think that was a deliberate choice. I think they didn't really want to focus too much on the story this time, in order to focus on, like, the core of Breath of the Wild, which was the exploration.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
going through this huge world and, like, finding these things where, like, you'll see something, you're like, hey, I want to look at that, and you can go to it.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of that, you know, they knocked it out of the park. It's just, what I'm saying is that, like, for a future Zelda game, right, for a future mainline Zelda game that's not a remake, personally, I think that I wouldn't mind scaling back the freedom just a little bit to give a more coherent story. I think there's like some nice middle ground that you can find between the open world that they found with Breath of the Wild and also delivering like a coherent story that isn't, you know, pieced together in kind of this weird mishmash way, you know?
So would you have preferred a more linear story, or would you have preferred like the choice of going down like your own path, like in Breath of the Wild?
I think like a simple solution would have been like, look, there are these 4 areas or whatever, 4 beasts that you can explore, but if you want to discover the story in order, go to this one first or whatever, right? So we can get a sense of, you know, of continuity, because like right now I'm just discovering...
There's a problem with that then, because then there would be no incentive to go to something out of order. Then you know,
well,
like,
you
hey,
could.
like, I shouldn't...
You have the choice, right? You can fight Ganon right from the start.
Well, the choice is there, but just because the choice is there, it doesn't mean it's like a choice that the player is incentivized to make. You know what I mean? Like, it's a matter of... It's like... It's kind of like telling me to choose between this 5-course meal or a pile of shit.
Whoa, I mean, I don't think that's a fair comparison, because like you can say the same thing about fighting Ganon right off the bat. There's nothing that incentivizes you to do so.
Like my point. No, my point is
like,
that you can choose to, like, even though you have the choice, it doesn't mean it's going to be a good choice.
I'm not a game designer, right? So it's not up to me to decide how to integrate the story into the game, right? Well, all I'm saying is that I would like it to follow a more traditional story format while keeping the gameplay open world and letting you explore, right? Just because like discovering the memories out of order and stuff, especially since they're exactly that, right? They're memories. You only get to see what happened 100 years ago, and you feel kind of distant from it, right? It's like, yeah, you're watching these cutscenes, but you're not really interacting with those characters 100 years ago because it's already happened. You don't really feel... You don't really get to interact with Zelda.
Do you think that would have been remedied if they'd done it as playable flashbacks? Because there's multiple occasions where Zelda
Honestly, that'd be fucking awesome. That'd be awesome if you can like do flashbacks, you know, like Link fucking fighting his way in the, you know, during the downfall of Hyrule, right?
That sounds probably have been very nice.
That'd been like a great idea, actually, Vish, right? Rather than just, you know, me finding a cutscene and then just pressing A on my controller and then sitting back and watching. You know, that's cool too, but it's not as immersive, right? I still feel like a spectator just watching these events unfold 100 years ago rather than actually like living through them.
And I think that also kind of gives players the incentive to go and get the Master Sword. For example, right? Because I would assume pre this 100-year Calamity Ganon, whatever, Link would have had the Master Sword, and he would have had, you know, the Hylian shield, right? So I mean, it would have given you a little hint and say, look, you can get this later on in the game. But do you see what I mean? Like, it would give people that incentive to play on, but I don't know. As you say, I'm not a game designer, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to them to figure out how to do it in a compelling and fun way, right? And I'm confident that they can do it because they're Nintendo, right? If they can deliver, like Breath of the Wild, they can do fucking anything, honestly. Right?
Before we move on, I really want to talk about another game that I was playing, really, and it's recent. It's just so you know, before I kind of get into that, majority of my Switch games are cartridge. I just want to point that out there. I do have a 100 or 200 gigabyte SD card in my Switch currently, but cartridge is the way to go for me. Anyway, so I recently got Mario Party. That is a good game. It's a really good game. It's so addictive, and the mini games are so good, especially those wanking mini games. I know it's a kid's game, but I mean, when those jerking off mini games, when it's like, oh, turn your controller vertically, and then it's telling you to like jump up and down and shit, and you have to shake the Joy-Con. It's like, oh man, it's basically that jerking off simulation. That's what it is. Can't deny that.
I mean, okay.
It's funny.
If you want to look at it like that,
it's hilarious.
Sure,
every day, like, and then Bish will be like, I don't know why we never get like deals from Nintendo on GALP.
That's why. Because I'm ruining their games. Sorry, Nick. But no, seriously, like, the mini games are incredibly fun. Like, and the fact that you can just play the mini games by themselves. You don't even need to play you don't need to invest that time in going around the game board for an hour just to play these mini games. You can choose which mini games you want to play and just play them. There's some really fun ones out there. Like the one where you slap the paparazzi out of the way to take your pictures and shit. It's hilarious, especially if you're playing with four people. Great game. A lot of the games I have.
Wait, how many Joy-Cons do you guys have, by the way? Or what controllers do you guys have for your Switch?
Okay, I'll tell you that. My controllers, I got 2 Joy-Cons. Well, the set I have. And then
hang on. Before we continue. Oh, yeah, you have the special edition ones. Okay,
I have.
I was about to say, like, Team Blue and Red or Team Gray?
Team Smash Bros. Sorry.
No offense, but the Smash Bros. One's so... Like, it's not
shit.
ugly, but it's so plain, dude.
The only thing I like about it is the dock. And the funny thing is, my dock is flipped the other way around, so all I see on my dock is the Nintendo logo. I don't see the artwork on my dock. And the reason I have that is because my TV is in the left side, so I have to put in the HDMI cable the other way around. Like, flip the console around, plug in the HDMI, so I don't see the dock. It's unfortunate. And... to be honest with you, I haven't really been playing my Switch until I've been recently, because I don't know if you know this, a week after I got my Nintendo Switch, it broke. It overheated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I'm just saying this for
you were
for the
so unlucky.
And I was just like, it overheated, and then there was a short circuit, and the console became so hot, I took it out, and I unplugged the Joy-Cons, and then the Joy-Cons wouldn't charge after that. And I was like, what? So what
did you have to replace? You have to replace everything, or...?
The whole console, the whole unit. I spoke to Nintendo, they said bring it back to Game, and thankfully, Game, if you're listening, especially Game Wardour Street in central London, I went there because that's the one I got it from.
There's absolutely no chance that they're listening right now, Bish.
Huh?
There's absolutely no chance that they're listening.
No, they're probably listening because I told them about us.
I mean, why not?
Regardless, so they were really helpful. They even let me transfer my data because I had a lot of data. I didn't want to lose my Smash Bros. Characters. Because the way that the Switch transfer works is that you can't just take your SD card and then put it in. It will format the SD card if it's put into a new Switch. And I learned that the hard way. So I had to transfer all my data to the SD card, actually to the cloud because I had Switch Online at the time. And then I had to re-download everything, re-download all my games, everything. But man, it was just fucking disaster. And I was so worried that I was gonna get the same issue with my new Switch. I'm not having that issue, thank God.
By new Switch, like, did they repair your old one, or did they just like replace it with a brand new one?
They replaced it because they said that shouldn't happen. I spoke to Nintendo. They said, you did a good thing by unplugging the console straight away because that is a fire hazard. They did say it in an email. So I'm glad I got out that way.
They saved your life, bro.
Yeah, Nintendo saved my life. No, I saved my own life. But, Nintendo, thanks. But even Game...
They gave you a nudge in the right direction.
And they apologized, and they gave me a gift card, which I then used to purchase Breath of the Wild. So...
Good choice.
Good choice. Good, as you can imagine. And it was actually happening while I was playing Hyrule Warriors. So then I was like, I'm not going to play Hyrule Warriors.
You got Hyrule Warriors too?
Yeah, man. That was I got that before Breath of the Wild because I thought I don't know much about the lore of Zelda and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, I'll get in with a game that I already know how to play. And before that, so I was using the Joy-Cons, and I find them incredibly uncomfortable to use when it's detached.
Hang on, like, do you mean like when you try to use them without the grip, or?
No, when you're using them with the grip, they're fucking disgusting. Like, I don't like that. Or when you're using them, even
I think
without...
I'm the only person who actually doesn't mind the grip. Like, I find like it's not
Joy-Con?
great, but I find the grip actually like okay. Like, I only got my Pro controller like this like during Black Friday or Boxing Day.
Kevin, I tell you something about that grip, is that there's... it's not even an issue about the grip, it's the issue with the Joy-Con itself. If you're playing a game where you're doing couch co-op and you're holding it sideways, some games don't, they say that they work with to Joy-Con play, it doesn't. For example, Dynasty Warriors, when you do that, they map all of the buttons except for the block button and the call your horse button. So all you have is that you can't block and you can't call your horse if you're doing couch co-op in for Dynasty Warriors and games
With
like that.
what? But you mean with a single Joy-Con?
With a single Joy-Con.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause,
Also, do you limit gameplay features?
It technically there is a way around it. Technically they say, oh, all the buttons are remapped, but they're not. And it makes me think, well, how is the buttons not remapped? Like, they should, because they have enough buttons on there, but they just don't. I think that's an issue with the game. But I mean, there's a lot of game developers that they're saying that there's support, native support for that, but there isn't. So that's why I don't like single Joy-Con play, unless it's obviously first-party Mario titles, etc. But
yeah, most of the time it just flat out fails. I mean,
it does, yeah.
I think the only time where it sort of works is like with racing games. Like, I mean, with Resident Evil Revelations as well, you can technically use one Joy-Con, but like it doesn't.
Well,
it is unplayable.
It works with racing games like Mario Kart. It works with Pokemon because Pokemon forces you, if you're playing docked, it forces you to use a single Joy-Con.
Oh, you can't use a Pro controller?
No Pro controller because it's motion based.
Oh, that's
and
bullshit.
that's why. And obviously,
Well, I mean, that's the whole like thing about it. It's supposed to be like the whole selling point for the Pokemon game was that you could use the Joy-Con, then you simulate throwing a Pokeball.
I don't know that you had to do that though. I thought it was
you
just a
had
cool
to.
little like.
You had
gimmick.
to.
Well, no, it's something you have to.
unless you're playing portable. If you're playing portable, then you can throw with a button, with just a press of a button. Which is a bit silly because it's like, what if you have some sort of disability or you have some sort of handicap that doesn't allow you to throw the controller? Do you see what I mean? So I think Nintendo should have really thought about that when they were making. I can't really blame it on them, but I mean, it's something to consider in that sense. Going on to the point, you mentioned that you have a Pro controller. I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because the Pro controller is like £80. If I wanted to get the Smash Bros. Pro controller, it's £80. Regular one is like 70. And it's like, come on.
Yeah, so an issue with Switch peripherals is that they're really expensive.
They're really expensive
Like,
for no reason.
I mean, no. In defense of the Pro controller though, it is pretty freaking solid. Like, I mean, I don't have it in front of me right now, but like,
Kevin, I'll tell you something. I already have. I don't want to say I have a Pro controller, but I have a controller that has almost all of the features.
Use your
I have
the
an
dongle.
I've got an 8-bit DOE receiver that allows me to connect an Xbox 360 or Xbox One or PS4, and I'm using a DualShock only because a lot of those consoles don't support. Obviously, Xbox One doesn't support motion controls out of the gate or rumble, but the PS4 controller, I can do motion controls as standard. I can also, use motion controls, use rumble. It's not HD rumble, but it's still rumble. It's still rumble. The only thing I'm missing is amiibo support, which I don't own amiibos for amiibo support to be any sort of thing, right?
Useful, yeah. I mean, then again, one of the things that I really enjoy about the Pro controller is that like it's just the battery life. It has an insane fucking. It's like 40 hours, I think, right? Compared to like the DualShock, which has like, I think maybe 6 hours.
Yeah,
like,
6 to 8 hours.
Like, yeah, eight is like stretching it, right? Like from my experience, it lasts like 6 hours, and it's like you have to plug it back in, right? So I mean, yeah, it is expensive, but compared to like what a full price, how much is a full price DualShock in the UK?
£50 or £40 you can get them now.
Okay. Well, the thing is, like, let's be honest, pricing for electronics in the UK is fucked either way. It's ludicrously expensive for no reason.
Well, yeah, because of
But,
VAT. That's the main
yeah,
reason.
because in Canada, right, instead of a £20 difference, it's a $20. It's a $20 difference, I believe, right? And I was lucky. I got it on Boxing Day, so it was like a $10 difference between the two.
Kevin, I'll tell you something though. Like, if I didn't own a PS4 already, I would have bought the Pro. But because I own a PS4, I didn't want to spend more money on another controller for no reason. Yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
It's an attractive option though. Like the dongle really is useful. It's just I find that if you don't have a PS4 controller, then the Pro controller is worth it though. Like, do not go for the cheap ass like wired ones, the third party ones, because like those cost like $20, right? And that's great, but they don't have HD Rumble. They don't have
they don't have Rumble at all. Like
yeah, at all.
The funny thing about them though is that if you wanted to play, they're only useful if you want to play like Smash with a GameCube, because they do like GameCube ones that have Rumble in them, and it's decent because they emulate a Pro Controller. Because if you wanted to buy the Nintendo branded, the dongle for the GameCube, right, and you use your own GameCube controllers, then there's no home button, there's no push to wake, there's none of those features.
It's a game that's, well, since the Switch treats it as like a Pro Controller, then it kind of comes with its own set of issues. It's clear that the game controller is made primarily for Smash purposes.
But even then, it's kind of expensive to unless you're like a hardcore fan of Smash, right? And you're insistent on using the GameCube controller for Smash. I find that just spend the money on an official Pro Controller, right? You can use it more like for other games and stuff, or first-person shooters and stuff, right?
It really comes down to preference, because they all have different feelings. Like, I've tried each variation of Switch controllers. It really, like, it's very dependent on taste.
Kevin, do you think it would have been cool if Nintendo actually did an official wireless instead of like remaking the Firebird for the GameCube? Instead of doing that, they just made a GameCube controller that was a Pro Controller, had the guts of a Pro Controller, that just had all of the features of like the layout of a GameCube controller, but has
Isn't
all the
that just the Pro Controller?
No, but I mean with the layout, with the button layout of the GameCube controller and the look of the GameCube.
Why?
Because
I think it's a niche market. I think third-party retailers already do that, and like also I don't know. I find the GameCube controller
what makes the game controller so like unique isn't just its button, like its button configuration. It's just how the triggers click. How you have the C stick, you have like the regular stick, you also have the pad that just works.
I find it's kind of
like how you want
overrated
it
though,
to.
because like the yes, you can use it for Smash, but like once you take it out of Smash, right? Like
I mean, even if it's overrated, it's still like a lot of people's
the
preference.
triggers are just so bad on the GameCube. That's the thing that kills me about it, is that the triggers are so mushy.
well, because they're analog triggers.
Well, I
no?
mean, like, for example, personally, I love the game controllers because of like the clicks, the way your buttons are fashioned, the C stick because it lets me do tilts without trouble, and the D-pad because it's stiff but it allows me to mash out. So it's really dependent on that. But I still see what you're trying to say. I'm just like, it's dependent on taste, like regardless of whether it's like, and maybe it's praised too much or praised too little. And besides, I've met a lot of people who are really into the Pro Controller.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good. Though then again, I guess I didn't really need the Pro Controller for the longest time because I'm really lucky. My roommate also has a Switch, right? So we already have like 4 controllers from the get-go, like boom, right? But yeah, it's definitely worth considering if if you've got some extra cash laying around, or it's Boxing Day or Christmas or whatever, and you really want to play your games comfortably, right? It's not necessary, but oh my god, for shooters especially, like playing Warframe or like Resident Evil, you really need the Pro Controller, in my opinion.
I agree. Even like games like Dynasty Warriors, because they're doing a lot of RPGs and a lot of like Dynasty Warriors style games, even Bayonetta. Like I do prefer to play those games on an actual proper fucking controller as opposed to the Joy-Cons, because the buttons with the Joy-Cons are small. They don't have enough travel. The triggers are micro switched. It's weird.
Well, I played Bayonetta with the Joy-Cons, and I had like no problem with it. Even on like climax mode.
I don't know, Joe. Like for me, I'm not a fan of playing the Joy-Cons for more than I need to. I don't mind playing it in portable mode because it's larger. It's kind of like, because your things are attached and whatever. But I mean, other than that, I really hate using the Joy-Con, and that's something I kind of want to jump into the main topic of this discussion: the future of the Switch and mobile gaming. I remember when we did the Switch episode originally. I said to Kevin, I think that this is going to kind of phase out the 2DS and the 3DS. And you say, no, it's not going to do that. But I think it is now.
I'm really unsure, honestly, because, it's definitely displaced a lot of, the market for the 3DS. But I still think that there's a niche that the 3DS fills, right? 'Cause it's got 2 screens, right? The 3D aspect is long dead, let's be honest. But I don't know, it's not... the Switch is a console that's portable, but it's not nearly as convenient as the 3DS in my opinion, right?
So that leads me on to another thing. I'm not sure if you guys heard the rumors that Nintendo may be announcing, these are only rumors, they may be announcing a new revision. And people are suspecting that it might be...
That was already deconfirmed.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, they said, like, they have no plans to...
Well, still. Okay, let me rephrase it then. What do you guys think of Nintendo deciding, or not deciding, to create a Switch that is just only for portable mode? Like a cheaper console that is just portable only. Like, imagine like a PlayStation Vita style Switch.
But I mean, I don't get how that would work though, because the Switch already is practically portable only. The only thing that makes it like a quote-unquote home console is the dock, right?
As far as I'm concerned, the dock is extra. I always play in portable.
Yeah, but I mean, like, for example, the Switch is like 300, it's still 350 pounds. The games are still expensive, whatever, yeah? In terms of the parents, if you're going to be spending 350 when you can spend like 200 bucks, do you know what I mean? You'd rather spend 200 bucks for something that's more durable, that your kids are not going to lose a fucking Joy-Con that you have to spend 70 pounds on to buy again.
I disagree.
There's no way they're going to market that low just by removing the dock, because the dock is merely a power
I'm not
boost.
saying,
The Switch itself,
but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying to remove the dock. I'm saying to create a console, redesign the console, unibody design.
Would it still be a Switch though? That's the thing.
Yeah, obviously you wouldn't. Okay, a console that will play Switch games. It wouldn't be a Switch exactly. You can't call it a Switch, but I mean,
I don't see that happening.
I'm
honestly.
still trying to see. I'm having a lot of trouble seeing your.
I'll
your
explain
logic
it to
here,
you, Joe. Like
it really.
it's the way they will do it, and I'll explain it. Is that they'll switch to unibody design, right? That means they can do a lot of things. They don't need to have the buttons. They can have a proper fucking D-pad. That's one thing. Second thing they can do is that they can.
Why is that the case?
Well, because they don't need the whole point that you have those arrow buttons.
Like non-removable Joy-Cons that are like proper buttons.
But that destroys the whole charm of the Switch, though.
Yeah, that's the thing, Bish.
Like, it will do, but I mean, for them, it'll cost them less money because they need less parts, and they don't.
It will,
need to...
but then it's taking away what they've been trying to sell this whole time, which was console quality on the go, where you can just take off the controllers, give one to another, and then you can play console games.
But you have to understand
like
that Nintendo in the past have done this before with the 2DS, the 3DS, even the Wii. They've removed aspects like even the Wii. They removed aspects like Bluetooth. Well, not Bluetooth, obviously, because of the controllers are Bluetooth. But
they have, but it hasn't been changes that have destroyed like the very foundation of what the 3DS is. If you change the Switch in ways that you just described, then it wouldn't be like the Switch anymore. It'd just be a random. It'd just be a Vita.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, well, isn't in the same fashion the 2DS?
That's
it's
different.
A gutted version
why,
of. Okay, why is it?
Bish, they're both very different scenarios.
Yeah.
Like
the reason for that is that yes, you can be like, oh, well, is it the main selling point of the 3DS the fact that it's 3D? Yeah, originally it was. The main selling point of the 3DS when it first came out was that it was 3D. But they realized that, hey, people don't really play in 3D anyways. Most people turn it off. So they're like, you know what?
Okay,
if most people just get the Switch for, not the Switch, but the 3DS for, 3DS games on the go. They buy it for the games, right? Not the 3D aspect. Then they lost nothing by taking away the 3D. But the main thing that makes the Switch different from the PS4 and the Xbox is that, yeah, you can play console quality games on the go, but you can also play it at home. It's so flexible, right? If you look at reviews for the Switch, right, when it first came out and even now, one thing that you'll notice is that one of the words that keeps on coming back again and again flexibility, right? You can play it in tabletop mode, portable mode, docked on the TV screen. You can play it with Pro controllers together with a buddy with single Joy-Cons. You can play, like, there's just so many ways to play it. And it's even in their marketing, I think. The new chillers, it's like, play Breath of the Wild or whatever your way, right? So it's at the core of their marketing, right? It's part of the identity of the Switch. And if they make a new console that takes out all of those unique things about it, then it's gonna.
You might as well just make a stronger 3DS.
Yeah, you're just gonna cannibalize your own sales for no reason,
I don't know what to say to that, to be honest with you. Like,
I mean, it's like you have to consider if they make like said changes, then the Switch might as well become a stronger DS line.
Yeah, there'd
like,
be nothing.
It might just be...
It'd be a shitty DS because other than the power, the DS at least has the unique thing about it is it has 2 screens and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be a Nintendo Vita. The Vita will have more functionality because at least the Vita could stream games to the PS4 and shit, right? You know.
But I mean, like, what do you think Nintendo could do? Because I don't see this.
Nothing really. This is
no, because a lot
like
of people are asking for like a Switch Pro or a cheaper option for the Switch, because the Switch at the moment is very expensive.
You know what they
people are
could
willing
release?
to pay
You
that,
want to
though.
know my take on it? They can release Joy-Cons that are customizable. I mean, as in you can take apart like half of the Joy-Con and put in like another like a modification.
You mean like faceplates with the 3DS, basically?
Exactly. So like, let's say I had a Joy-Con which had like the stick and it had the 4 buttons, like the left Joy-Con, we'll just say. But this time they were split into 2 parts. What if I could remove one of those plates, slide in another one with a D-pad on it?
Okay, so kind of like the Xbox. Was it the not Pro controller, the Xbox Elite controller? Yeah.
I've never used the Elite controller, so I'm not.
Well, the Elite controller is
aware.
basically like this modular controller. You can swap out the sticks, so you can make higher concave or convex sticks. Change the D-pad to make it circular D-pad.
Oh, okay.
paddles,
Yeah, like
etc.
something along those lines. Like add even more customizability to it. I think what the Switch is right now is fine. What it needs is to go a little further in terms of flexibility.
I don't see how that would help though, honestly, because I mean, I can see
mean,
where
it
you're
would
coming
just-
from, but it's like, how is that different from, as Bish said, Microsoft releasing a new controller, right? You're not, at its core, right? You're not upgrading
Well, no,
the
I'm
Switch
not saying to
itself.
change the overall controller. I'm just saying like appeal more to take advantage of the flexibility of it. Take advantage of people's like
But
personal tastes.
I don't even know if they
and
have
try
to
to
do
give them
that.
as many options as possible.
Because, I mean, I agree with you, but I think people are already doing that, Joe. If you look at Hori, right? Hori released...
No, I want to stop you there. I know what you're going to mention about the Hori D-pad controller. That controller is bullshit because you can only use that in portable mode. You can't use
Yeah,
that.
but that's people buying it know full well that it's only for that. But the thing is, the point I was trying to bring up is that, you're talking about making the Switch more flexible. Well, third-party companies are already doing that. They're making like new Joy-Cons and modifications for the Switch. Hell, there's even the fucking the limited edition Nintendo Club. Like, remember those
Those
NES, the
controllers.
NES Joy-Cons, right? There's so much flexibility already built into the Switch because it's a modular console, right?
I can't really agree with that. The exclusive controllers are very limited in terms of what they can do.
Yeah,
They have some level of functionality, but
that's just an example of what they can do, right? I'm just
well,
saying.
yeah,
that
but I mean, like, I'm just saying,
releasing
like,
new
what if
controllers
it
would
was?
feel like an iteration more than an evolution,
Although,
I'm not saying we need to evolve the Switch. I'm saying we should extend, like, add like an extension to
see,
the Switch.
I understand where Joe's coming from, and I think the whole customizable thing is perfect. And I think Nintendo need to do that with color options as well, because with the 3DS line of consoles, we've had a shit ton of special editions. Even with the Wii U, we've had some special edition consoles, and at the moment, the special editions are very bland, and it's like a decal. Like, you can get the same sort of effect with your dock for the Super Smash Bros. By applying a vinyl skin or vinyl
like
decal.
those deep brand skins. I
Yeah,
think, like,
you
for
could
the
do that,
Joy-Cons
but
and
why
stuff.
are Nintendo doing it with the Joy-Cons and not doing it with the console itself? Why are they not creating a white console? I can understand for kids that's going to get dirty really quickly, but I want to see a console that has a blue shell, for example, or
that's
even
such a minor thing,
or even
though.
software, customization. For example, themes. They have a themes option, but why is it only black and white? I don't get
Who would use white?
But I mean, I get where you're coming from though, Bish, because Joe on the 3DS, right? For example, on my 3DS, I'm rocking this Fire Emblem Fates theme, and it's not just like a background, right? It's like the PS4 themes where it modifies
I
like the
start with my
buttons,
themes?
the sound effects and stuff. Like seeing that would be cool, or just some shit like more icons, right? But I mean, I think those are really small changes that are really easy for them to do. That's an
A moment
iteration.
of silence for the fallen. A moment of silence for the Nintendo Badge Arcade.
The Nintendo what?
A moment of silence for Nintendo Badge Arcade, which allowed a lot of badge customization for the home menu.
We ain't gonna see that again, Joe.
Oh.
But I mean, I still think that if they're going to make an iteration of the Switch, like I still have the same opinion that I had when we first made that first episode on the Switch. I think the coolest thing they could do would be like, okay, maybe they make the Switch a bit more powerful, right? Come up with like a Switch Pro, or they can like release a new dock has like an external GPU or something in it, right? Which allows you to play powerful games.
That would be cool, because then that means you don't need to spend as much money to upgrade your console. You can use the same console and obviously use...
Exactly.
That would make sense.
Because the PS4 Pro is fucking expensive compared to the original PS4, right? But and the main thing about the Switch, the thing that, you know, kind of worries me about its future is that right now, yes, it's console quality gaming on the go. But with, you know, the upcoming release of, you know, the PS4 and the Xbox, I don't know, the 720 or the fucking 1060 fucking no scope or whatever.
420.
I don't know what the fuck I don't know what the next Xbox is gonna be called, but anyways, with
the
next
Xbox.
Yeah.
That's it.
With the next generation of consoles, right? The gap between the capabilities of the Switch and these new consoles is gonna get even bigger, because already the Switch is struggling to run current gen games. Yes, there are things like Warframe and Doom that
I tell you something,
well,
the Switch is even struggling to run past gen. I'm not sure if you've seen the Nintendo Direct with them playing Assassin's Creed 3. That's a PS3 game, and it looks like shit on the Switch. How is that possible?
Look, I want to talk about that just really quickly.
Yeah.
I think that's more of just Ubisoft's inability to optimize it for the game, for the Switch rather.
But why does Nintendo always have this issue that they always want to get third parties on board, but they're not? They need to show them. They need to be like, look, this is how we do shit.
No, I'm saying this isn't Nintend's. I don't think this is. Really
I'm not saying
Nintendo's
it is, but I mean it's
fault,
hurting them at the end of the day, because people are going to look at that and say, well, games on the Switch are shit. Like if Mortal Kombat is coming out.
I'll tell you right now, I've talked with a ton of people about this, and they really don't care because they know Ubisoft is just. Like, they noticed that the port was just poorly optimized. There are games that have been on like current gen consoles, and they run better than that port.
True, I can't deny that. But I mean, to someone who doesn't know much about gaming, they'll look at that and they'll be like, "Oh, I remember playing Assassin's Creed 3. I might get it on Switch," and then it looks shit. I don't know why they went for Assassin's Creed 3, but that's an Ubisoft thing. I don't know why they went for the shittest Assassin's Creed game, but hey ho, I'm not really going to comment on that.
We at Ubisoft decided that we're going to give the Switch a shot, so we're deciding to release one of the greatest games that we've ever made, Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah, of course.
This will be the one game that decides whether or not we support the Switch moving forward.
But it also kind of brings this issue with Nintendo need to kind of take a good look, because they haven't gone with the multimedia kind of side of things like with the PS4.
That's so disappointing, honestly. I'm going to stop it right there.
I understand.
I think it's a valid discussion to have. I know that they've been saying, oh yeah, we want to make sure that, you know, we don't repeat the mistakes of the Wii U and that we have solid games to the Switch. I think the Switch already has solid games. It wouldn't kill them to also include support for like Netflix and stuff. They already have Hulu and all that, I think.
Well,
recently,
not obviously not for us because we're in the UK.
Yeah, obviously. But if they can do that...
YouTube we have YouTube.
Yeah,
but
finally.
But the funny thing is, Kevin, is that, this is what I wanted to say, is that they're saying, okay, we don't want this to be a multimedia thing, and they're saying, oh, we're going to focus on games, but they need to fix their online service. Yeah, that's what I remember hearing
as well.
Yeah, their online service is shit.
It's funny how there's some games that they run through Xbox Live, which is a lot better, and the APK is coming to the Switch, which doesn't even make sense. So games...
But I thought you loved paying for peer-to-peer and an NES emulator.
See, look, Joe, that's not my issue here. Like, I really don't... I don't mind the Switch Online, but I mean, having to... We played Smash together, guys. We didn't use the Nintendo Switch Online communication.
We should use Discord, I think.
We used Discord. And I mean, like, Nintendo, come on. I would have used your service if you made it simple, like party chat and Xbox Live.
Yeah, like I have to fucking download an app on my phone.
Oh no, I still want to use it
to my fucking.
And I don't know why Discord hasn't really done this with any game console manufacturers. Why don't you just put Discord on the Switch and say
because
that'll be cool.
I think that's that's probably on Nintendo's side though. I don't think they want to just let Discord do that because people are like, Discord's free. Why the fuck would I pay for that online service?
No, of course,
right?
I get it. But I mean, at the same time, it's kind of like Skype on the Xbox. Like, I use Skype on the Xbox, right? Because it's so convenient.
What's wrong with you?
No, because I mean, like, if you're playing with people on PS3, you know, they log in Skype on their phone, and you're already on there on the console. I'm not saying it's the best way to do it, but I mean, if they had Discord on the Switch, or if they had some sort of similar service to Discord, or
I'm sorry,
an in-party type thing. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Like an actual party
I agree
chat.
that they should have a better service, but I don't know if Discord's the answer, right? Like, one of the things that I miss a lot.
I mean, here's the problem. There's no appeal to using voice chat at all on the service. Like, why not? Like, why am I worrying about them improving their voice chat or party chat
I'm not
or
saying-
some
well,
way on the
look,
Switch when I could just use Discord?
The funny thing is, okay, I get it, but you're paying what, $20 a year? Cool, but what are you getting from that $20 a year? You're gonna get Nintendo. You're gonna get Nintendo games, like old school Nintendo games, which Nintendo are probably gonna launch a new service and split that off anyway. So then it's like, what am I getting for the pleasure to play online?
You're getting like cloud saves, and that's about it.
But I mean,
honestly,
it's a bit shitty that you can't back up your saves on your SD card. I don't know why. That, you know, people would love that if you could.
On the bright side, though, I've heard
On
rumors that they're going to be adding SNES games to it soon.
Yeah, I've heard that because
Honestly,
people were
it's
data
only a
mining.
rumor, though.
People were data mining the Switch to get that. I get
but
it.
then again,
Yeah.
like, would that actually
But-
increase the value for you guys? Because personally, for
me, I mean, I also
don't
want to
think
comment
so.
on like another. I want to comment on another line that they said. I think they mentioned like not too long ago that, you know, we realized that the service isn't really great, and we're actively working to try to improve in some way. So I mean, they are at least aware.
Well, yeah, of course the company is going to be
But
aware.
I mean, it does. But even now, it's like it's still like it's still kind of not a great service to pay for because they like
it's
Intel's
not worth
seeing
it.
like
Honestly, like,
yeah, people are seeing like, hey, like people are not paying the yearly subscriptions. Like, what are we gonna do? And they're like you know what, we're gonna try to make the service better.
Yeah, if they make the service better, or if they're like, okay, if you're a Switch member, you get like exclusive discounts. They're already doing that. But I mean, if you do that more
Well, yeah, with
frequently,
Tetris 99.
or Tetris 99, I think it's a way for people to get involved. But at the end of the day, Tetris 99 would have been more popular if they did a Fortnite and been like, you know, it's free to play completely. You don't even need a Switch online service. Like Fortnite, you can play it without a Switch online service on the Switch for free. So if Tetris 99 did that, you get more people playing it. That's just one thing. Secondly, about this whole Switch service is that I've heard people saying that, oh, it'll be cool if we had like something similar to the Virtual Console. You know, this whole Nintendo, you know, NES games, SNES games now. If they were like, okay, we'll do the same, but you can get N64 games, or you can get GameCube games, right? Or even Wii games, because I've seen those games run through emulation and really well on homebrew Switch consoles. So the capability is there. Nintendo can do it.
I don't know if it's quite the same though. I mean, because the hardware of the Wii is so specific, and yes, the Switch has the Joy-Cons, but it's not the same thing, right? The Switch uses gyro controls, whereas the Wii used IR, right, for its Wii controller.
The Wii U also had gyro controls.
Yeah, but it also had IR for aiming and
But
stuff.
am I
Like,
right in saying that the Switch also has an IR blaster in one of the Switch Joy-Con?
in one, yeah, but then again, like, you know, the whole thing with like the Joy-Con, like the Wii is so particular, right? Its control scheme is so specific.
Okay, so even not
It's
the
gonna
Wii.
be hard.
Okay, even not the Wii. Okay, N64, GameCube, they could do that. They could do that. I
I would
don't
love to play Sunshine.
see. That's what I'm saying. Like, what's gonna stop? And Sunshine's not that good of a game, by the way, Joe. I'm just saying.
No,
Mario
but
64
the thing
a lot
is,
better, but,
like,
yeah.
they can't really offer that with Nintendo Switch Online because, like, you know, they can't just, like, you know, plug in an N64 cartridge into, like, you know, a server and just upload that to the cloud and let people download it, right? They need to spend lots of money to, you know, port that, right? Porting costs
Well, I mean, they're
money.
a business. You have to spend money to do things.
Yeah, but when you consider that, for example, Microsoft, they don't have this problem at all because they don't just, you know, every month they give out free games, and so does PS4, right? They give out free games with your subscription, but they don't have to fucking port every single goddamn game over.
Okay,
right?
so then
They
why
just
don't
take
they
fake
follow in
third-party
their
titles.
footsteps? Why don't
That's
they
what
do
I'm
the
saying
same thing?
they should do. But the thing is,
There's not that
I
many
think
games to do it with.
if I'm not mistaken, PS4 and Xbox didn't offer that at the beginning of their life cycles. Right? It's only towards the, like, you know, last like 4 years or so that they started offering that service, because by that point, the PS4 and Xbox One had accumulated a pretty big library.
So I want to say something, Kevin. What about a Game Pass situation where you have this kind of Netflix style subscription for gaming on the Switch, where you can choose from Nintendo's library of NES, Game Boy. They could do Game Boy very easily, by the way. I just want to say.
No, if they do like an EA Pass, whatever. I don't have like an EA Pass myself, but like just the concept, like whatever, like Netflix, you pay, I think it's like $5 to $8 a month or whatever, right? And as long as you're subscribed, you get access to these games, right? I think that would be an attractive option, right? If they offer that as part of the online service, like, look, you can get access to this particular selection of games, or let people choose what games, first party titles they want to have access to in the library, right? That would be an attractive thing, because hey, I don't necessarily have $80 to blow right now on a new release, right? But hey, maybe I'm down to pay like a couple bucks a month to get access to multiple games, through an online service, just like EA Access.
And I think for Nintendo that would be very smart, because they have a lot of
they have an extremely solid like first party lineup, right?
Solid first party, but not only that, they have a large user base, and not even then, they a lot of them are children, right? So parents are thinking about in terms of parenthood, right? Parents are thinking about where can I get the most bang for my buck, effectively, because not all parents are gamers. They're not always going to understand that, the $60 game is like, do you know what I mean? They don't really care about that. They want the cheapest shit that gets the most effectiveness at the end of the day.
Yeah, let's be honest. Yeah, I think that yes, it might be a bit more expensive for the consumer on the long run, because the monthly fee will accumulate. But if you're getting access to more and more games every month, it's worth it, right? And people like subscriptions. It isn't 2005 anymore, right? Subscriptions are, people are subscribed to like Netflix, Crunchyroll, Funimation stuff. They're used to having subscriptions. So I don't think it'd be like a foreign concept to them, right? It'd be a lot better than the subscription service that they're offering right now, which is pretty lackluster, honestly.
See, I don't understand why Nintendo didn't get it done from the get-go. This like actually makes Switch, like, because I feel that, okay, look, they made it free. The Switch online service was free until they kind of offered that service, right? So I don't understand why didn't they. I know
why though.
Why didn't they?
Well, they said they mentioned. I think when the Switch was first announced, like, they're gonna make the service free until this certain time, and then they're gonna start pushing out servers. So this was something that was expected.
Yeah,
but I mean, why didn't they just delay it until they actually have a fucking proper service? Like, at this moment in time.
Well, that's the whole situation right now. A lot of people believe that. Well, that's the whole situation right now. Like, people believe that, like, hey, they should have spent more time with this and shouldn't have released it now, because there's not much that really warrants the purchase. Like, that's like the whole debate at the moment. Like, why did they release it now? Why didn't they wait until it was worth the price of $20 a year?
To get off this topic, I wanted to talk really about the future of the Switch, and really the future of mobile gaming. And this is what I really want to get into it, because I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but I was always into portable gaming, a big advocate of the PlayStation Vita, DS, etc. At least in the modern era, right? And they're my favorite consoles, because I don't have the time anymore to sit down on the PS4 to play a fucking game, to do this, to do that, everything basically. So it's more of the convenience. I can play on the train, I can play while I'm taking a shit, not that I do, but I could do that if I wanted to.
Oh, I've done that. It's great.
It's great, but I mean, you have the opportunity to do that, and especially with the Switch, because you have that, in some cases, better battery life, depending on what game you're playing. And it's somewhat console. I think it's the best high definition. It's high definition to extent of 720, but I mean, when you're playing portable. But I mean, you can take that on the go and then bring it at home. Do you think that this is going to be the future of portable gaming? Because we have phones that can do the same thing. We're even getting Nintendo games on our phones. We're getting Mario Run. We're getting Fire Emblem games.
I think mobile games, like on phones, that's a can of worms that we could probably leave for another day, or just gloss over really quickly, because that is a lot of shit to talk about, right? It's an entirely different market, right? It's evolved quite differently from your traditional home consoles and portable consoles, right? But regarding the future of the Switch, I think that I don't know if there is going to be a next generation DS, honestly, because it'll be competing directly with the Switch. I think that, once you do what Nintendo has done, and you've crossed the threshold into, a hybrid home console and portable console, there's just like no going back, right? Because like, why would you want to go back to a portable only console after experiencing the Switch, right? Like, I mean, unless it offers something really different, like, the 3DS having 2 screens, offering 3D and stuff, right? Unless it offers a really different experience, like, I don't see Nintendo going back to like a pure home console for their next gen console. Right? I don't even know what their next gen console is gonna be.
But do you
right? 'Cause
think
the Switch is gonna be their cash cow for
this is something
a
that
while,
I wanted to mention. Do you think that obviously now less people are buying the 3DS and the 2DS, and people are not making games for them? We've seen a lot of Wii U ports make its way onto the Switch, and they're selling a lot more. Like, we're talking about Super Mario Brothers Deluxe, that's making a lot more money, and even Mario Kart is making a lot more money than it ever did on the Wii U. Are we going to see ports or HD remasters of Switch games and not Switch games, DS games and Vita games like Criminal Girls, games like Etrian Odyssey? Are we going to see?
Ultimately, that's what it's going to be, Bish, because unless
They're already getting Rune Factory games.
Yeah.
Or Rune Factory 4 specifically, and 5, which was announced during the last Direct.
It's stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
For better or for worse, I think that's exactly how it's going to play out, because here's the tricky thing, right? Here's the catch. If they upgrade and they make a Switch Pro, it's going to be the same console, but fundamentally it's not going to be the same console, because the Switch is just, it doesn't have the horsepower in it to keep up with Sony and Microsoft's next gen consoles, right? So eventually we'll reach a point where the Switch will no longer be console quality on the go. It'll be last generation's
the funny thing
console
is, Kevin,
quality on the
when
go,
we say
right?
console quality on the go, we're talking about previous generation consoles. Because the Switch, I believe, is running on an ARM processor, right? And these consoles that we currently have, even our current gen, yeah, they're basically PCs in the special boxes, right? That's effectively what they are.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can even compare the PS4 and the Xbox One to even consoles anymore. They're PCs. That's why I don't really...
they're still being marketed as consoles, right? And the Switch still has to... They still have to compete against Microsoft and Sony, right? That fact doesn't change, even if, because Joe Blow, right? The average person who buys home consoles, they're not be like, what is the architecture inside of the fucking console like, right? They don't give a shit, right?
No,
they just know
they want to know if it plays well and...
Exactly, right? And
the funny part about this is that either way, Microsoft is getting the advantage here because they're the ones making money off Windows.
That's funny, yeah. They're making money off... Oh, the funny thing is also about this Xbox Live APK...
Here's the thing. Actually, I want to mention this as like a bit of a side note. Microsoft and Xbox has become more of a brand at this point than a console.
Yeah, it's become a live service. That's why I feel.
Yeah, because now you can play Xbox games through your computer.
You can also play Xbox games through the Switch with Minecraft in this case. You can earn achievements on your Xbox Live account and earn gamer score through the Play Anywhere update for Minecraft, and you can do crossplay. And I think that's where we're kind of going in there, to kind of answer your previous question about the future. But it's weird, don't you think?
How about the Switch's future, though, right? Because, I mean... I think everyone saw that coming for the Xbox, but for the Switch, what is its niche? Because right now, one of the things I really enjoy about, I think one of the strengths of the Switch is that I can fucking play Doom, Wolfenstein and shit on the Switch, right? Yes, obviously, the Switch is also a portable console, right? So that's going to be an appeal that's going to have, right? That you're able to play last gen's console games on your Switch on the go. That's great.
I think to answer this question, Kevin, is that you have to look back at the previous consoles and their strengths, right? In Japan, for example, the 2DS and the 3DS was not just very popular in terms of third parties, they were very popular in terms of VNs, like visual novels, etc. Like, if you wanted a good visual novel, you'd buy that shit on the DS.
Is the Switch a visual novel console? I mean, because yes, I mean that's a possibility. Right?
I see it.
I mean, it certainly has the capabilities now, but I wouldn't say it's quite there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For the mass market, perhaps in Japan, visual novels are massively popular. But
no, I'm just using the visual novels as an example, right? Or for example, the Vita for me was mainly an RPG console. I would play 2D RPGs, etc. So I mean, it needs, as you say, it needs to find its niche. But even then, does the
I get your
PS4
point,
does the
but it's
PS4
the
have
thing
a
that-
niche? Does the Xbox One really have a niche?
It's a general gaming console.
But that's
right?
not the
And
niche.
right now. It's a role though.
Yeah,
Right.
so what's the-
And right now, the way I see the Switch is that it can play certain current gen games and it can play its own portable games and last gen ports. But what you're describing to me, my biggest fear right now for the Switch is that, in the next 2 years, it's no longer going to be able to keep up. And we're not going to get any current gen games on the Switch anymore, other than
if
like
I need to be
AAA
completely
titles.
honest, I think I think Nintendo has plans, like, are expecting like a scenario like that and are planning accordingly. Because like realistically, these consoles are prepared
Yeah, but
like
like
a couple years before like they're actually announced.
But my fear is that, like, at that point, Joe, what makes the Switch different than a glorified DS that can be docked into a TV? If it can no longer play current games, it can only play last-gen games and portable exclusive games.
But
it's basically
Kevin,
a 2DS that can be
how are you
docked,
gonna solve
and that can...
That's the thing, because it's such a slim form factor. Bear in mind, the Xbox One
That's-
and
I'm
the
not- I'm not
PS4
proposing any
PCs,
solutions,
and even
it's just-
even the future generations, they're just going to be beefier PCs with a better graphics card and a better, processor. At the end of the day, the Switch is, in essence, it's like an Android tablet. Or, I don't want to say it is, but I mean, it basically is. So how are you ever going to expect it to get console-like quality, even for next gen or last gen or whatever? Because we know it's never going to hit the PS4 level of thing.
I'm not expecting it to,
thinking-
but I'm still expecting it to be able
What people
to
are
play...
thinking currently is, I'm not sure if you know this, but currently at the moment, Nvidia, in China, what they're doing now with Nvidia Shield is that they're streaming Nintendo games on the Nvidia
But
Shield.
that's not portable, though. That you're anchored to your internet, and your internet better be good.
Okay, then
or
what
else you're
about
fucked,
4G
right?
service? This is the thing I don't understand. Why didn't the Switch have a 4G service where you can put in a SIM card? The Vita had it.
Didn't 3G or 4G fail horribly in the Vita? Isn't
yeah,
that why
it
they
made it-
removed the models for
Yeah,
it?
they changed the models because it didn't do so well, and because people didn't want to pay that much money for it. But I mean, why can't people do the same? I don't understand. Why
Well,
can't
I mean,
the Switch
I don't think
have
we
that?
should be talking about the solutions to that
What you
problem.
just said is, why don't they do the same thing that the Vita did, which will cause them to fail?
Well, I know. I think Nintendo could do it in a better way. Do you know what I mean, Joe? I just have a feeling. I have a feeling that Nintendo can do much better. Than
But I
what
mean,
they
I don't think it's relevant for us to talk about solutions, right? It's up to them to find out, how they want to implement it. I'm just saying they need to do it, or else the Switch will no longer be, it won't really be a home console anymore. It'll just be a dockable DS, basically, right? And I'll still love my Switch then. I'll still enjoy it, but it just won't fill the same role as it's filling right now. And I quite enjoy the niche that it's filling right now, So the way, they just need to find some ways to beef up its power.
Well,
right? Whether
don't you think
through a
that's an
Switch
issue
Pro.
with Nintendo since the beginning of time? Like, all Nintendo consoles were like. I've noticed this. Like, even the Wii, it lost its niche quite quickly. It couldn't play the games. It's basically an over-glorified game, if you want to think about it like that. So
I think it's quite different from the GameCube.
Well, it's a
the
GameCube.
motion controls and everything. right?
it's basic, like, at least with the earlier consoles. It's a
I mean,
GameCube.
technically it was a GameCube, like at the time, because it released with the GameCube functionality
Yeah,
in it.
so-
That's why it was so expensive.
So for all intents and purposes, it's a GameCube with motion control. That's how I like to see the game.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, like, it's technically running old hardware, and it's trying to fill in that niche, and it never really did. It was a
And like the
beautiful
Wii,
console, but-
at the end of its life cycle, nobody was buying it. That's my fear here, that once it becomes technically obsolete, it's gonna start collecting dust.
But then that's
you know?
when Nintendo comes in and they're like, okay, we have to make a new console. That's what Nintendo does, and we've seen it. The Wii U, and then the Wii U died out, and then they were like, okay, Switch.
But they usually try to like really innovate with every new console, right?
So what's
Are
the
they just
next
gonna release
innovation
Switch
then?
too? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's another
I
thing.
can't see it.
Nintendo created a pattern for VR on the Switch. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's
Oh, I remember hearing about that.
and
We don't hear much of that though. Like we hear about it like here and there, but like the Nintendo VR like hasn't really had like a high
well,
voice.
of course not. But I mean, this was a recent pattern that came out like a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, at the time of this recording. So from what I've seen from the drawings,
Oh no, I remember what you're talking about. Labo VR.
is that a real thing?
Well, no, that I heard like rumors of a Labo
Yeah,
VR,
it might be
like
that.
using Nintendo Labo in order to create a virtual reality.
It might be
experience
something
for
like that,
Switch.
but from what I've seen that it looks like, I'm imagining it to be similar to like not the Oculus, but I mean, have you seen like Samsung and
Probably Google Cardboard.
No, that's the Labo shit. That would be probably Google Cardboard Part 2. But I'm imagining it, or what I'm hoping it to be, is to be this peripheral, kind of like the Joy-Con grip, where you snap the Switch on. It has like these rails, kind of like the Joy-Con rails, and you just attach that in to that, and it will have maybe it'll have something similar to the dock, or what's currently in the dock at the moment, that allows the dock to run at 10, allows the games to run at 1080p, etc. So we'll have that already built in, because I'm not sure if you've opened up your dock, which you shouldn't do, by the way. The stuff that's in the dock is really small, so you can fit it in something else and create this kind of VR headset that allows you to at least play games in 1080p, and you can use the Joy-Cons as, you know, kind of like how you have those Vive shit, you know, the Vive controllers, because there are games that already play like VR games on the Switch. Surgeon Simulator is one of them. It's very difficult to play because it's as if you're playing it in VR without a VR headset. So I think Nintendo could do that, and it would be, a lot of people would buy it, because at the moment people want to get a cheap way into getting into VR. Like, that's why at the moment, and correct me if I'm wrong, the PlayStation VR is the biggest VR platform completely. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of sales, right? Because they've sold, like, I think 4 million units for the PlayStation VR, and that's surpassed the Oculus and whatever, only because of its low price point. It's $500, and that's expensive. But I mean, in comparison to your Oculus, which you already need like a really powerful computer to use that.
VR is kind of weird, because the thing is, although the PS4 like can be, well, by comparison, it can have a lot more value, given its price. The PC also has more options. It has more flexibility. Like, you have in addition to Oculus, you also have like the HTC Vive. You have Google Cardboard. You have Google Dreams. Like, it really, again, it also comes back down to taste. Like, it comes down to what you would want to use, what you would need.
It's true, but I mean, like, for example, if Nintendo made that as a peripheral, not like Labo, but I mean like as an actual, like a Joy-Con grip or whatever, and they said, okay, we're gonna do Nintendo VR with the Switch, and we're gonna sell it to you for $200. That's half the price of a PlayStation VR, if I stand corrected, right? Or
Yeah, but it's not at all the same thing, though, right?
Yeah, it's not. It's not
price,
okay.
But you're getting a fraction of the power.
Sure.
Well, it's also the fact that Oculus also has some, like the Oculus Go, which is more affordable, and it's like its own thing. It isn't just a headset. It's like something you can, that is like, it's kind of like has its own hardware built into it.
And how much is that, rough?
I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me search that up real quick. I think it's around like 200, 250.
Yeah, it's 270 Canadian.
All right, but can you play games on it, like actual proper PC games?
Because it really depends on its
because
library.
bear in mind, on PC, even with a regular Oculus, you have to have a PC that can run those games. So it's like, it's a very expensive threshold to overcome. Do you see what I mean? That's why I'm suggesting this whole Switch thing, because even then, it's just going to be cheap. And at the end of the day, what consumers want, they want a good product at the end of the day. No doubt about it. But they also want something that's cheap, because
the Oculus Go has Keep Talking Nobody Explodes. It's the only game you need in your life.
Joe, I don't even know what that game is. What is that game? Tell me. I want to know right now.
Basically, you have to defuse a bomb, right? You don't have the instructions, though. Your friend does, and...
Oh, okay. I know which one it is. Okay,
yeah,
is that one with that briefcase and it's got the wires and shit?
Yeah,
okay,
that's it.
That sounds like a fun game. I'm not gonna lie. Why doesn't the Switch have that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, stupid shit like that. Does it?
It does. I have it, actually.
Damn. Okay, so we're seeing already VR games making its way to the Switch, and
I mean VR games, but aren't in VR. That's the
yeah.
thing.
Well, they don't run in VR, but I mean, like, you know, you've got games like Surgeon
It's
Sim.
like games that had VR functionality that could potentially have VR functionality in the future.
Because the way I see the controllers working, they're basically like those Vive controllers. The way I see, and they play very similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know how the Switch is going to turn out in a couple of years, but only time will
I mean,
tell,
right now
suppose.
it's on a roll.
Well, yeah,
It's
now,
on a roll,
yeah,
that's
of
for
course,
sure.
man. Especially now with the Nintendo Direct announcements, which I'm not really happy about.
Yeah, I don't think like there's any doubt that it'll continue to sell like fucking hotcakes in the next few years. It's just will it be able to keep up its niche and all that, and how will Nintendo adapt to the like? I want to see how they react to the next gen Sony and Microsoft consoles. That's gonna change
Kevin,
everything.
I think those next gen consoles are not going to be consoles anymore. They're just going to be streaming boxes, and I think Microsoft is leaning that direction because you can make a lot more money from streaming services as opposed to hardware. Did you know that Nintendo is the only one that's making profit from their hardware and software? Yeah, the rest of them are not making. They're making losses on their hardware. They're not making as much profit on their hardware as the Switches.
But like a lot of their income is coming from online
online
services.
services, live services in games, like because obviously even with loot boxes and shit, they have to spend through them. So obviously Microsoft's going to take a cut, Sony's going to take a cut, etc. Digital games, even hard copies of games, that's where they make their money from. Because bear in mind, Nintendo's losing money on the hard copies of games. Why? Because they're using the solid state cartridges, which are very difficult to make, and they're very expensive.
Oh yeah, like putting like a huge, like large scale games onto like a tiny cartridge, that must
It's
cost a lot.
expensive because I think the maximum capacity is like 32 gigabytes, right? And I think a standard Blu-ray is like 150 or something, a lot of gigabytes, or maybe even 500. I don't know how much a Blu-ray can hold, but it's a lot more than 32 gigabytes. So that's one decision that's kind of made. Like, they don't use standard SD cards. If they did, I think we'd be seeing games a lot cheaper on the Switch. That's, I think, one of the hurdles at the moment, to be honest with you. And I think if they can't, that's why that kind of makes me feel that obviously they're losing on the software side of things, but they're gaining on the hardware because they're selling a lot more hardware, and that's why we're seeing those expensive prices. Anyway, I think that's a good place to wrap up this episode. Kevin?
As usual, if you guys liked the episode, or if you want to give us opinions, feedback on the episode, we can be reached on Twitter. So we have a podcast page, or you can reach out to us personally. My Twitter is @Tolvrae, TOLVRAIE.
Mine is I thought it was Joe, but then it's actually me. So my Twitter page is @GetALivePodcast. Joe?
And my Twitter page is @KiboGamer, spelled KIBOUGAMER.
No, or you can, if you're old-fashioned, you can send us reviews, feedback, or cool stuff via email at glp.pa@gmail.com.
Yeah, we're still rocking with that email. In case you're one of them oldie goldies that's like, oh man, I want to use my PC to type an email to Bish. You could do it that way. Otherwise, I think Twitter is the best way. You can leave a review on iTunes or on Spotify now, which is pretty awesome. Or, you can just shit post about us online. We don't mind. We don't mind.
You can hop in the Discord and do that.
Discord. Yeah, I forgot about that. If you want to join our Discord, go to www.getalifepodcast.com/Discord, and it will send you directly to our Discord. I've sorted that out. Yeah. Also, big thanks to our sponsors, Loot Crate, Japan Crate, and Crunchyroll. Go and check them out. If you go to www.getalifepodcast.com/GALP, it'll take you to all of our sponsors. So go and check them out. Support them. If you support them, you support us. So it's a cycle of love.
And supporting us makes me happy, and it helps us sustain the channel, the podcast as a whole, and the website.
Oh, you got cool shit for it too. So win-win.
You're helping Joe to be happy, and that's what's most important.
Yeah, you're helping me pay for my gacha.
That's it. What do you mean?
No, don't worry about it.
Wait a minute. That's where the budget's going. It's going on gacha games.
It's going to Fake Go, because Albert likes to see me suffer.
See, that's why we're not millionaires yet, because Joe is wasting the secret budget, the budget that Tyson took away. Anyway, see you guys later. Johnny.
All right.
Stay sexy.
Ciao.